It was supposed to be just another evening in the small town. The streets were calm, the sun dipping behind the horizon, and the only sound was the occasional car passing by. 16-year-old Jason walked home from the gym, his backpack slung over his shoulder. To anyone looking at him, he seemed like just another teenager, tall but lean, quiet and unassuming. No one knew that behind his calm face, Jason had trained for years in mixed martial arts. His late father, a decorated soldier, had taught him discipline and defense from a young age. But tonight, those lessons would be put to the test in the most shocking way. The low growl of engines broke the silence. At first, Jason didn't think much of it. Motorcycles were common in town, after all. But then he noticed something strange. 5 bikers circling the street slowly, their headlights glaring, their laughter echoing in the night. One of them revved his engine and shouted, "Hey kid, where you heading all alone?" Jason kept walking, ignoring them. He'd been taught never to escalate trouble. But trouble had already found him. The bikers pulled up, blocking his path. Their jackets were worn, their arms tattooed, and their eyes filled with arrogance. The leader, a tall man with a scar across his face, stepped off his bike. "You look like you got something valuable in that bag," he sneered. Jason calmly replied, "Just school stuff, nothing you'd care about." The bikers laughed, a cold, mocking laugh. "School stuff? Well, maybe we'll teach you a different kind of lesson." The situation turned dark quickly. One biker shoved Jason's shoulder, another grabbed at his backpack. Jason's instincts screamed at him to fight back, but he knew patience was power. His father's voice echoed in his head. "Don't throw the first punch unless there's no other choice. Let them expose themselves first." The crowd started forming. People across the street stopped, whispering nervously. A teenager surrounded by 5 grown bikers? It didn't look like a fair fight. One woman pulled out her phone and started recording. She had no idea that what she was about to capture would shock the entire town. Jason tried one last time to de-escalate. "Look, I don't want any trouble. Just let me go." But the leader smirked and cracked his knuckles. "Oh, you're not going anywhere, kid. You're about to learn what happens when you walk our streets alone." He shoved Jason hard. Jason stumbled back, but stayed on his feet. His eyes sharpened, his breathing slowed. The bikers didn't notice the shift in his body language, but anyone who knew combat would have seen it instantly. Jason wasn't panicking. He was preparing. The leader swung first, a wide, sloppy punch aimed at Jason's face. But Jason's reflexes kicked in. He slipped under the swing, grabbed the man's arm, and twisted. The biker let out a roar of pain as Jason used the man's own momentum to throw him onto the ground. Gasps filled the street. The crowd couldn't believe it. A teenager just dropped a grown biker in seconds. The others rushed in, but Jason was ready. One came from behind, trying to grab him. Jason spun, his elbow slamming into the man's ribs, then followed with a sharp kick to the knee. The biker crumpled, howling. Another charged, but Jason sidestepped, using a judo throw his father had. Taught him. The biker hit the pavement hard, groaning in agony. Within 30 seconds, 3 of the 5 bikers were down. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Someone shouted, "He's trained! The kid's trained!" The remaining 2 hesitated, suddenly less confident. But pride is a dangerous thing. The leader, furious and embarrassed, scrambled back to his feet. Blood trickled from his lip as he spat and growled, "You're dead, boy. Nobody humiliates me in front of my crew." He pulled out a chain, swinging it menacingly. The crowd gasped, parents shielding their kids' eyes. Jason stood firm, his stance solid, his eyes locked. When the biker lunged, swinging the chain, Jason moved with precision. He ducked, grabbed the man's wrist, and yanked him forward. The chain clattered to the ground as Jason landed a perfect roundhouse kick to the man's chest, sending him sprawling backward. By now, sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the cops. The 2 conscious bikers panicked. One grabbed his injured friend, dragging him toward the bikes. But the leader was too stunned to move. He lay on the ground, clutching his chest, staring up at the boy who had dismantled him. Jason didn't move closer. He didn't gloat. He simply stood there, calm, controlled, exactly as his father had taught him. The police arrived, lights flashing. Officers jumped out, demanding answers. The crowd erupted, pointing fingers at the bikers. Phones were shoved in the air, showing video evidence. The bikers tried to spin the story, claiming Jason had attacked them, but the footage told the truth. The police handcuffed the bikers one by one as the crowd cheered. Jason was checked by paramedics, but he was barely scratched. As the bikers were loaded into squad cars, the leader shouted through the window, "This isn't over, kid! You'll regret this." Jason simply looked at him with quiet strength and said, "I didn't start this fight, but I finished it." The crowd erupted in applause. The woman recording live-streamed the whole thing, and within hours the video went viral. "Teen takes down bikers" became the headline across the internet. But what people didn't know was that Jason's story wasn't just about fighting back. It was about control, discipline, and respect. The next day, reporters surrounded his house. Neighbors cheered him as a hero, but Jason told them something surprising. "I'm not a hero. I just defended myself." Real strength isn't about hurting people. It's about knowing when not to. His words spread just as quickly as the video. Teachers praised him, veterans saluted him, and thousands of teenagers wrote online, saying they felt inspired. The bikers, meanwhile, faced the consequences. Their criminal records grew heavier, their reputations shattered. None of them dared show their faces in that town again. And the scar-faced leader? He learned a lesson he would never forget. That intimidation fails when you underestimate the wrong opponent. Weeks later, Jason stood once more in the gym where he had trained since childhood. His coach, who had known his father, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your dad would be proud, not because you fought, but because you honored what he taught you. Control, discipline, respect." Jason nodded. He knew the fight that night had changed him. He wasn't just a kid anymore. He was someone who had faced fear, stood his ground, and proved that bullies, no matter how big, can always be brought down. And from that night on, the town would never forget the teenager who faced 5 bikers alone and left them regretting everything.